Hey, listeners. I wanted to talk to you about something. Do you ever have a feeling where you're just going nowhere in life? My question to you is, what would happen if you changed the trajectory of your life? Imagine what your life would be like if you started knocking down your goals, you gained more confidence, and you understood your gifts and how to use them. Listen, how you feel right now, you're not alone. Millions of people feel like this, but you don't have to stay stuck in these feelings. This is where Versatile Success's signature program, Lost and Found, will help you. The Lost and Found program is a 30-day online program that'll change the trajectory of your life. Don't just take my word for it. Joaquin says, I've always struggled with trying to figure out who I am, what my strengths are, and what my weaknesses are. This program helped me unlock my superpowers, and by knowing that, gave me confidence in things I wanted to achieve in myself. So again, I ask you, what would happen if you changed the trajectory of your life? Find out by clicking the link on our Facebook page and enroll today. Oh, and make sure you enter the coupon code LostandFound-Infiltrate to receive $200 off the program just because you're a listener of our podcast.
This episode of Infiltrate Radio Podcast is brought to you by our amazing sponsors. Podbean is an easy and powerful way to start a podcast. Everything you need for a successful podcast. No difficult technology to learn. For our listeners only, go to podbean.com/infiltrate radio and get your first month of podcast hosting absolutely free. Again, that link is podbean.com/infiltrate radio. The show is also brought to you by Akioka Pet Boutique. Use the link posted on our Facebook page with the link to the show and use code InfiltrateRadio25 at checkout, and you save 25% on any purchase from Akioka Pet Boutique. All your pet supplies, toys, etc. So again, go to the link on our Facebook page, click on it, and use code InfiltrateRadio25 at checkout and save 25% on absolutely any purchase. In addition, we'll post the links to any products we talk about during the show, such as the drinks we're enjoying or any other items we mentioned. So if you really want to help us out and support the show and keep us going, click on any of those links we post, and the show gets a portion of the purchases that you make. So you get drinks, you get products, you help to keep the show going, and we get to not be living out on the street. So again, just click on any of the links in on any of our posts that typically go to Amazon or other affiliates. So thank you guys for all your support, and here's another episode.
Infiltrate Radio.
All right, and I believe we are live on the Facebooks, on the social medias. We are episode number 63. Biz, are you frozen again? It looks like Biz is posing for some weird thing on the side, and now he's disappeared. He's been abducted.
I don't even see him.
Yeah. So I'm Patrick Joanne, and I'm Biz LaChance, and we're on episode number 63, and we've got Todd Youngman on the show today. How's it going, Todd?
It's going good. You should have like a sock puppet for him and just refer to the sock puppet every once in a while.
I'm Biz LaChance.
No, thanks for having me. This is great. Thank you.
Yeah, Todd is a comedian. I'm going to say entrepreneur, and then I'm going to say fine, upstanding citizen in
I try.
in the upstate New York region. Pays his taxes somewhat on time, and
Always.
and sometimes hangs out at parks a little too long.
Yeah, sometimes in the restrooms.
But thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it, and I think Biz is going to be kind of coming in and out here, trying to figure out what his technical issues are.
It's the dial-up.
But I wanted to bring you on the show because I just got a chance to see you doing something that was pretty cool. So and we'll get to that in a minute. But as per usual, we got to pay the bills, and so the way that we do that is we bring some drinks on. And we drink them during the show, and we tell our audience to go on and click the links when we post the episode and buy those drinks that we're drinking, and we get a little bit of pocket change. So why don't we start, Todd, with you? What do you got over there? I saw you show me something
Patrick,
interesting.
I'm drinking. Can you see this? Gatorade Zero.
Huh.
Now, I'm going to say, Todd, why do you drink Gatorade Zero?
Yeah.
Well, Patrick, back in the beginning of the pandemic, I got into running big time. I ran my whole life since like 1986. I'm very old. And then I got really into it, so I didn't lose my mind back in March, and I just started running. And to replenish,
Oh, the
I drank
electrolytes.
Gatorade Zero.
What is it? The
and there's
ice
nothing better
flavor?
No, this is cherry. You would think it was
Huh.
ice, but it's cherry. No sugar. I go with the one with no sugar. It's
Ah.
excellent, and it's made by PepsiCo. You know Pepsi.
Yeah, yeah. Is
You
it
always think of Pepsi when you think of hydration and
right?
good quality products.
Well, every single drink in the coolers in the supermarkets are owned by like two
Oh, yeah.
companies, right? Pepsi and
Coke
Coca-Cola
and
or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the when you say no sugar, do you mean that it doesn't have like the fake sugar stuff in it, or is it?
No, it's everything on here. It's loaded with sodium because that's what you want to
Yep.
replenish with. But
Yep.
everything else, zeros.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's bland, but
Yeah.
I like it.
I kind of
Yeah.
would dig that too, actually.
Yeah.
So
here's the other good thing. 12-pack of these babies, $4.99.
oh wow, huh?
Yeah.
That's really
Go ahead. I'm
interesting.
sorry to
So,
step on you, Mike.
no, I might have to get myself some of those because I don't like the fake sugar stuff. I'd
Yeah,
rather just have it
horrible.
be unsweetened than to have
Yeah.
some fake stuff in there. Which is why I went with this week. I'm just doing a little Dunkin' Donuts iced
right.
tea,
The double
but
D.
unsweetened black iced tea, which is my go-to thing.
Nice.
And before, if we're talking COVID and workout things, so before COVID, I was a avid gym goer, quite every single day pretty much would go.
Yeah.
And I'd run every other day. I'd do 6 miles. I'd run, and then I would do weights for a couple of hours, like the opposite days. And before I'd go to the gym, a long time ago, I used to do the pre-workout stuff, but I used to have I started having like heart palpitations at night from it.
That doesn't sound good.
So I stopped doing that, and I went kind of au naturel, and I started going. It's not really au naturel, but I went to Starbucks and I would get a double shot of espresso and then a large black iced tea like that, unsweetened.
Yeah.
That would be my caffeine to get me going at the gym and get me working. And then the COVID hit, and I had to like build a home gym. Like I had already. What did I have? I had a weight set, but I didn't use it often unless it was like we got snowed in, and then I would run outside occasionally if it was nice out. Like my days of running in the snow, I'm done with all that shit.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I did it all winter.
I used
was
to.
loving it.
So-
Yeah, I love it. I don't know.
So, how much? What's your distance? What are you running when you say
I
an
do
avid runner?
3 to 4 every other day. So
Okay.
I go Monday through Saturday, and I take Sundays off. But I go 3 and 4 miles. I'm 52 now, so
Yeah.
I keep it low in the mileage.
So I found that that range, like anywhere from like on an off day I'll do 3, and then 6 is like that's right where like the sweet spot. I used to do marathons and stuff back in the
So
day.
did
but-
I.
Did you?
Look at us.
Yeah.
We should
So,
date.
but right. You never know, Todd. You're a
Hey.
good-looking man there.
Hubba, hubba.
But but I know what you're talking about because on the marathons and stuff, like I used to do this one in Pennsylvania called the Mega Transect. It was like an ultra. It was like 33 miles, but it was up in the hills in Pennsylvania. And the very first, like I had done some regular marathons before that. I got to that one, and it's a whole different animal. That thing. It's in the summer. They don't do it anymore because they ended up like flattening the whole area there to like build stuff.
Really?
that we were running on, all the trails. But the first time I did it was the time that I learned how important hydration and your electrolytes are when you're
important. It
when
really
you're doing
is.
something like that. And I'll tell you what had happened. So I started running up. There's these 2 boulder fields, they're called, right? So it's like rocks that have been brought onto the hill from like the glaciers or whatever, and just deposited.
Okay.
So it's almost like a half mile up, but there's all these false tops to it. So every time you think you're about to get to the top of this thing, you look up and you're like, oh shit, there's more, right? And it's 90 degrees the first time I did it, and you would run already 3 miles until you get up to that part. And then it's this half mile where you have to almost crawl up all these rocks
gosh.
to get to the top. So I had done marathons. I'm like, I got my hydration, I got my nutrition down. You know how important kind of like making sure you have enough fuel in you to do that. So,
Yeah.
but I get to the top of this thing, and Todd, my leg, I've never felt my legs just seize up the way they did.
Right.
Got all the way to the top of this first thing. I'm about maybe 7 miles or whatever it was in, and my legs just whoosh, locked up on the floor. On the floor.
Really?
So some girl luckily passed by and had like little salt droplets or whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
here, what's going on? Because my legs were just cramping like intense.
Yeah.
And so I'm very aware of the electrolyte.
Very important. Your story.
yeah.
I'm going to have a sip because of your story.
Yeah, yep. And then, so a second one, as a matter of fact, with Biz, because Biz was there when this happened. When I was first starting to train for marathons, I actually passed out once because I was very low sodium diet at that time, and I passed out. This is like my early days of the running stuff where I wasn't aware of all that, you know. But yeah, I'm glad you.
I think you have
run.
shared this story before.
Yeah, where yeah. You know what? I think I shared it because what's his name was on from Versatile Success, Justin Rambo, because he was the
Rambo. Oh yeah.
he was
sense. I agree.
He was the gym trainer at the time. It was like his first day, and he was like, "Pat, you're going pretty hard. You gotta, take it easy a little bit." And then the next thing he sees is me getting carted out on a stretcher by the ambulance because I had passed out, and it's a corporate environment, so they make you, call an ambulance and all that stuff. So
they don't want any lawsuits.
So Biz, while we got you here temporarily, hopefully permanently, what are you drinking?
So I decided to go with so it's Bubbly Bounce. It's like carbonated water with caffeine. Like I don't get enough of that in my life. It's the mango passion fruit blend, if you will.
What is it?
Oh, bad boy open. Let's just show it off just a little bit, if you can.
Is it the same bubbly like the seltzer, the regular?
Yeah,
seltzer?
That's exactly what it is. It's
energy drink,
carbonated water, but it's got 35 milligrams of caffeine in this bad boy.
Huh.
That's not an energy drink.
That's really
not at all. Not at all. I drank a coffee. Let me see if I have it. I am also drinking a typical.
Oh, look at you two.
Coffee. But we've so I
rooms over there.
I also drank one of those little bottles of iced coffee, right? Drank it super fast, and I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't have drank it so quick. And I looked, there's 185 milligrams in the bottle. I was like, wow, I'm gonna clean the shit out of this house. So
so Todd, as a matter of fact, I just want to talk real quick too. Do you notice where Todd is?
I do. I actually I think that they're watching me on Instagram too. So
yeah, he's at Rock Vox Studio. So thanks for
Rock Vox for
some
plug for our pal Scott.
Yeah. And if he ever wants to sponsor the show or put a commercial on, Scott, if you're listening out there, feel free to hit us up, and we'll do it. We'll do some episodes out there too. So, but Todd, I wanted to talk because we didn't want to talk for an hour and a half about the drinks that we're drinking, but we wanted to get that out of the way. What I really wanted to talk about was where I saw you, and the I don't know if I want to say this, but you were talking about your underpants.
Yes. Not my underpants.
Yeah, someone else's underpants, and a food-related product.
Yeah.
And so before we go there, though, I'm going to drop the live feed here on Facebook. If you want to find out what the hell I'm talking about with regard to a little heat, a little grease, maybe a little salt, and some underwear. You'll have to download the episode on either YouTube or any of the other podcast channels. So, and just remember, guys, if you do watch it, subscribe, tell your friends, like the videos, comment on it. It all helps us out. So we're gonna drop the live feed here, if I can do that gracefully, and we'll see you guys on the actual podcast.
See you on the other side.
All right. So we are here, and we are recording, no longer live. So feel free to curse and do whatever you want. So Todd, where did I see you? I saw you recently.
You saw me at Comedy at the Carlson.
I did, and it was a fantastic show. So, like, who was? Because I'm not great with names. Who were all the names of the people that were there for that?
Well, it was hosted by Greg Owens, and then this not a new young comic, but he's been doing a little while, but on and off. His name's Kevin Harrington. He knocked it out of the park the other night, and then Dan Viola came in, tried out some new material. He's a seasoned vet of almost 30 years. Yeah. And then I came up, and then my buddy Dan Guerin out of Albany, who's one of my favorite people in comedy.
Funny too, yeah.
Just a magnificent joke writer, super funny, and very relatable to everybody. So it was just a great. I think everybody really did a fantastic job the whole night.
Yeah, I think the last time I was at, I think I've explained to some of our listeners, said on the show, at the open mic I go to play music. There's comedians that sometimes go there and they try out material and stuff. And we were talking before we started the podcast here about that being the most difficult place to like try out anything, like following up a musician or at a mostly music open mic to do comedy is like almost guaranteed you're gonna bomb. I guess it's good training, right, for
it is
not being scared on stage,
to be a bombing comic. but yeah, it doesn't. The people go there in the mindset of I want to hear some music, and then somebody comes up and starts telling dick jokes, and it just doesn't work.
Where did you start doing comedy? Like what spurred that on? Because we've had Andrew Rivers on the show 3 weeks ago or something, or 4 weeks.
Did you?
Biz?
Andrew's great.
Yeah, I think it was about a month ago.
Yeah, maybe a month ago. And I kind of asked him the same question. Like, it's a weird, like music too. Even getting, doing something, anything with performing is always a strange thing for someone to want to get on stage and make that their thing that they do. What got you into comedy? Like, were you always into it, or was it something in
you
your
want
family?
The long or the short of it?
Long. We've got plenty of
Time?
time here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So growing up, I've always, admired watching HBO specials, like the Rodney Dangerfield young comedian specials, whoever had, stand-up specials on HBO or Comedy Central. I loved watching The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And when he would have comics on, it was always a special treat. And especially when he had Don Rickles on, it was always exciting for me because I thought Don, I still do. I think he's the best. And, to sit there and watch these people go up on a stage, tell jokes, and have control over people to make them laugh and make them happy, I'm like, that's got to be so fun. And I would love to do that someday. And that's all it was, I would love to do it. And then, my dad was always like, well, why can't you? You could be on Saturday Night Live if you want. And, parents are like, you can do whatever you want. That's how delusions work.
Not my parents, Todd. Not my parents.
Yeah, I was gonna say just last week we spoke about how that wasn't the case.
No, I'm joking.
So time goes on, and then I'm pushing 40, and my life starts spinning out of control. I start seeing a therapist, and the first thing my therapist asked me, what are a couple things you always wanted to do that you never did? And I said, well, I've always wanted to try stand-up comedy, but I'm too old now. Why bother? And to him, that's a cop-out. Yeah. So he said, so what we're going to do, I'm going to challenge you. We're going to look up an open mic. I want you to go do it. I want you to report back. And he did, and he looked it up. It was a Love and Cup. And he said, go do it. Come back and tell me how it went. I went and did it, and it was the worst thing I've ever been a part of. It didn't work because I followed a guy playing the harp, no joke. Yeah. And
nice.
Then, not that would have helped if somebody was playing acoustic guitar, just setting the scene for you. Right. And so I did it. It was terrible. I reported back. He goes, well, you know what you need to do? You need to do it at a comedy club. So we looked it up, and there was a comedy club in Webster called the Comedy Club, and it was right across from the Lowe's Theater. He goes, go there. They're having a showcase. Sign up. Get on it. I did it. I did 5 minutes, and I got laughs, And, as a musician, you go up on stage. People love your set. They cheer. It's like a drug, and you want to just keep doing more and more. So I did. And at that point, my friend Mark Ippolito, who I didn't know at that point, he was the general manager of the club. I just went up to him. And I said, what do I have to do to keep doing this, to get better and, get more stage time? And he said, you need to keep coming to the club, watching shows, talking to comics, and just absorbing the atmosphere. So I did. And, by doing that, I got to meet a lot of comics. Mark would put me up to just do 5 minutes, spots, unpaid, just to hone the craft. And over that time, Mark and I also became really good friends. And, I give him tons of credit for where I am now. I mean, I'm not like, huge headliner, but I do headline, I do feature. And without his support of pushing me and supporting me and telling me when my act was shit, right. I wouldn't, be where I am. You need people in your life to do that, to tell you, not just pat you on the back and tell you it was great, even though, it was a shit set.
Yeah.
So over that time, I got better, and he started moving me up to host. That's the first step. You become host, and then you become moved up to a feature act. And now I've headlined a couple times. But I love featuring because I get to work with tons of big name comics, get to know them, and sometimes they ask you to open for them, and other parts of the country, which is tons of fun.
Yeah.
And over that time, I got to know Mark, and Mark left that comedy club 4 years ago because it just wasn't, the ownership was weird. So he opened up his own place with our friend Dr. Suresh Goel over at the Carlson where you were. And my background's in marketing, and they brought me on as I'm also the marketing manager of comedy at the Carlson. So not only do I do that during the day, my weekends are going and doing comedy and trying to make people laugh. So
yeah, so
that's
it's an awesome club too. Like I've been to, so I grew up in New York City in Queens, right? So I bring that up I know Biz.
Wow.
Biz
Shocker you brought that up.
No,
I can't believe it.
No, but the comedy clubs in New York City are a way different thing. And I kind of wish that it wasn't during COVID, because I feel like that place, the comedy at the Carlson, get, like, if it was super packed together too, it would be like, you have good comics like that on stage too. It would be a fucking blast to like be in the room with all of that energy, but like some of the comedy clubs in New York City are just fucking terrible. It's like like CBGB's was a great club for the nostalgia of it, but actually being in there was never like a great a great thing. Is floors are sticky, and the you don't want to drink anything because the glasses are all dirty, and
those are classic clubs. That's the way comedy was born, in dumpy clubs and basements. So
that's so funny that the first open mic that you did was at Loving Cup too, of all the places, of all the places in town, Todd. So what were you doing before comedy, you said?
Oh my gosh, for years I worked in marketing. I got a degree in graphic design and marketing, early 90s, and I went right to work with a company called Chase Pitkin, which was a local hardware company that was owned by Wegmans for years. And I worked in their marketing department, and then they went out of business, and then from there on, it was just, marketing job to marketing job, and then, I hooked up with Mark and Suresh with comedy at the Carlson, and that's where I am now. I utilize my skills there now.
So I know that there was the before COVID, we got to figure out some sort of way of classifying before COVID, during COVID, and then now in the aftermath of COVID, right? We're coming into, but like, what was it like before COVID? Like, I mean, were there a lot of successful shows happening? Because you guys were kind of, that place was a little bit new. So you were probably within your first, 2 years, right? And then COVID.
We're 3 years old.
3 years. So the year of, 2020 was the third year it was open?
We don't count 2020. That's, we just, we were talking about that. It's just a non-year, So technically it's 4, but it's 3.
So you went from, your opening years, and were you having, I mean, I saw a lot of, pretty bigger name comics coming into town and doing that place. So, did you guys find that it was getting pretty successful before all that?
It was great, and right before we had to shut down, we were rolling. Like, we were getting into that, people are really picking up on the club, wanting to come to shows. And, we were having people, Bob Saget came, sold out 6 shows. We had Preacher Lawson from America's Got Talent. We had to add shows. That's how, big these shows were. Michelle Wolf, who's an incredible comic. I don't know if you know who she is. If you don't,
the name sounds familiar. Yeah.
She red hair. She's great. And just, big names coming through and just, filling the place. There were some that didn't, but, we were having an amazing run there. And then, we had to, and just like everybody else, shut down.
Was it just an immediate, like from 100 miles an hour to 0? Like
it was. And then, then you're just like, now what? Right. And so, along about, was it May or June of COVID, they gave restaurants the okay to open up, right, with minimum capacity. and we had a restaurant tavern license, so we opened up and did shows for about a month, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh no, comedy clubs can't be open, so we had to shut back down again. So we had a good 4-week run in the middle of it, and then had to shut down.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well,
kind of.
That's so, some of the stuff that happened during all this, right? With especially like the smaller business stuff, like because there were like Walmart was open the whole time, you know, the Targets, that's even Starbucks. I mean, the drive-through, of course, was pretty much that. But most of those bigger companies were open during all of this stuff,
Right.
and yet it was these smaller places, the smaller venues that were like, oh, you can't have a comedian on stage. Like why? Why can't the comedian bring their own mic? Or, you know, stand.
Well,
they're definitely far enough away from the crowd, you know.
Sure. Or like we were doing during that 4 weeks, but the comics would go up and wipe down the mic after each, performer.
Which is some of it was like I don't understand what it is, and I know there's a lot of people that are like the conspiracy theories and all that kind of thing. But there was like if you admit it, like there was a lot of just not nonsensical rules around a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean?
We know.
Yeah. Whereas like, okay, well, you can only open at 50, or half capacity or whatever it was. But what if the place is big enough to actually keep people at 6 feet apart, but that's more than 50% capacity? Why does it matter then? I don't know. There's a lot of nonsense. Even right now, there's still like, okay, well, restaurants can only be 75% or whatever they were saying. And then the mask things like if you're vaccinated and you don't have to wear a mask, but how do you check that? And should people actually be checking that? Because is that the responsibility of the business to be checking that sort of thing? I don't think it is, right? It's like, okay, well, these people, the vaccine is available. If they're not willing to take the risk of the vaccine, or they're willing to take the risk of not taking the vaccine, or whatever your thought is on it, like that's at this point, it's available to get it if you want it. I don't know. I'm the kind of person where I never trust the competency of our elected officials, regardless of political party.
I'm with you.
Well,
here's the thing: we can only do. You saw 100 people, and you saw how big the room is. Like you were comfortable, right? You had enough space around you.
So was it all 100 seats? Were it looked pretty full.
It was 83 people, so we were just short of 100.
Man, you definitely could have fit. Another
Easily,
100 in there.
And everybody would still been comfortable. Right?
Yeah.
You're not on top of everyone. And so if we want to do 150, this is the other silly rule. Everybody has to bring vaccination cards. And we're not going to do that. Tegan Ward, who has her Fleetwood Mac cover band, Seven Wonders, they performed at the club a week ago. And under her rule, she wanted everybody to bring vaccination cards so they can do 150.
Right.
And, people started emailing the club like, hey, what is this, Nazi Germany? And we're like, not really.
Wow.
But that's the way she wanted. And we directed all the, the complaints and emails over to those guys to handle. We're like, we're just the venue, and she's performing.
Well, that's what sucks too, is that the venues are being put in a position to have to figure out some sort of way to appease everyone during this, because you have this political thing that it's become about the vaccine and the even just COVID itself, and the venues just want to open up to be able to make money. I owned the cider bar, so I know kind of like if you're not open and you're not packing your place, you're not making money as a venue, and very those margins are small. You don't have a ton of cash typically on hand just sitting there that you can be closed for a year, like without and then on top of that, it's like people's jobs that are working there and all that stuff that are going away when they close down. So I don't know. I think it's more complicated, and I think that everyone I think needs to have a little bit of patience with it, because I have this feeling like there's a large swath of the population that thinks that there are that people that are in positions of power, like in government or that are making decisions like this, are, like I said, are competent or have all the answers
Sure,
or
right.
doing, or even so. There's these conspiracy theories of like the Illuminati or whatever. I don't believe in any of that shit because I've met a lot of people in government agencies and in positions like that, and for the most part, I mean, at best they're mediocre minds at work there. So I don't buy into any of the Illuminati stuff. I think it's just a lack of people. I mean, they're human beings, right? So they make all sorts of stupid decisions and mistakes and all that sort of thing. And it ends up causing this, this mess. I hope we learn from this whole situation how to deal with something like this. But I have a feeling we're really not going to.
I'll put it to you this way:
5 years will go by, and we'll be back in the same. Yeah.
Back in March and April, when this all first started, in 2020, everybody's like, I'd post about, I miss doing shows, and people are like, when you start doing shows, I'm gonna be there. I'm coming out. I heard that so many times. But now that life is, the train's rolling and people's lives are getting back to normal, they don't, no time.
Absolutely.
So you hear that. You probably hear that a lot too. Being I'm definitely coming to your next show. I'll be there. I promise.
Well,
they don't come. To
what's funny too? I just played a show actually at Love and Cup again last Friday, and it was that we had 15 of our people that were definitely coming. Like it was a nice day. It was like in the 90s, so everyone was like, "Oh, screw going into a place. I'm going to be outside somewhere, playing." Yeah. What do they play? Disc golf or something?
I don't even know. Where are you talking about?
What do the kids do now, Biz? They play hacky sack or
kickball.
I don't think that's something that kids do. Do kids even know what a hacky sack is anymore?
Cornhole.
Email us and let us know.
Yeah. What is it's Infiltrate Radio Podcast at Gmail, right?
Infiltrate Radio Podcast at gmail.com. That is correct, my friend.
Biz had to put on his glasses for that to get.
Yeah, I did because I couldn't believe you didn't even know it yourself.
But I love the club, man. I think that it's an awesome venue. Like I like because there's two separate rooms in there, right? There's that room that we were in, and then I noticed on the way to the bathroom that other room. Is that a smaller room than?
That's a smaller room. Yeah. So the room you were in, the Kevin Meaney room, we call it after a comedian friend of ours who passed. That holds 325 on a good day.
Wow.
And the Rickles room, which is the smaller room you saw, that's 100 seats. So I actually love doing shows in that room because it reminds me of a New York City club where everybody's right up close and it's very intimate. And not that I dislike the Meaney room, but I love having the people right there and you could see their faces and stuff.
So I saw Don Rickles does he not have a show or a YouTube show or something?
Well, he did. He's dead.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't know he was dead, but I know I saw him interviewing a bunch of comedians and stuff. It's funny to like watch him.
Patrick, weren't you at the Bottom Feeders event at Comedy at the Carlson?
The first
I remember seeing you there.
No, I wasn't.
Oh,
I don't think I was.
Because the way that you had just the way that you had asked about the layout and in Comedy at the Carlson made me think that you had been in there for the first time recently.
What? Oh, for what was it for? The premiere or something? I didn't get it. Did I not get any invite, guys?
It was way before. It was like when they were doing fun. I think it was a fundraiser thing actually. They had like some of the comedians and like Sky Sands was one of them that went up there.
Yeah,
sure. I remember him from the film as the teacher.
I think maybe I kind of remember like planning on going and then something. Maybe I had a show or something that was happening. I kind of remember it, but don't quote me on that. I don't know. Maybe I just said, fuck these guys. I was like, screw Scott.
Yeah. I'm going to play cornhole.
Right. I'm going to go play disc golf and hacky sack. What happened to hacky sack? That was like all the rage back in the day. No one does.
I think that was literally like 30 to 40 years ago, maybe. I mean, no.
When I was
that was
in the 90s. It came back, man. Well, I guess that's almost 30 years ago. Right?
I mean,
yeah, it did. Yeah. There was like this hippie resurgence thing that kind of happened in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like people wearing the bell bonds, but then they made them super giant, bell bottom type of things.
Was that you?
It was.
Sounds like a lie.
It definitely was me.
I was saying, I remember. Do you remember Jenko jeans?
I do.
Whatever
Well,
they were called. They were like.
That was kind of the resurgence of the bell bottom.
It's like wearing two children's dresses across each chap.
But hacky sacks were coming back at that point, and that's when like the whole weird
they did.
disc
I mean,
golf thing.
skateboarding and hacky sack and things like that. It's not that they make a comeback. It's just that they're only relevant between the years of like 13 and 18, 19 true. For most people, I think. So
right. When you're
lots of
yeah.
Lots of walking around
barefoot.
And
when you don't have much responsibility, but you have some, so it's nice to be like, oh man, I'm angsty, let me skate it out. But then once you have some real responsibility, it's like I don't really have time to break an ankle for 6 months and be down and out.
Biz, by the way, what's that poster behind you?
What is that? Oh, this is not a poster. This is an actual canvas.
What is it?
And it's I always call it Gangster's Paradise because it's literally everyone you could think of. I mean, like we got literally everyone from like Tupac and Biggie up here, like the characters from Friends. We got Goodfellas. Friends. We got obviously, I mean, you see Johnny Depp over in the corner, Marlon Brando, De Niro, Scarface. What is Tony Soprano?
Yeah,
nice.
But Sandra Bullock makes an appearance over here for some reason. We got the Beatles, Kramer. Like literally the whole game, like Braveheart's up here. Like literally the whole squad's there. So
Did you paint
I stuck
that?
a command hook. No, I wish. It was like literally the one of the first purchases I had when I was like 18 maybe. I went and I bought it. I was like, man, I'm gonna buy some art for my new apartment. Like,
and how's your wife feel about that painting now?
She so it's found its way to every single one of our apartments and houses. Like right on one of the main walls. I throw it up. I'm like, let's just put it there for
right in the living room.
Dress the wall.
Right. Yeah.
Like in the house that we moved from. It was like right in the kitchen, like right at the edge of the kitchen. I threw it up there. I was like, let's just leave it there, see how it looks. And like 3 or 4 people had come in and been like, oh, Biz, I love this painting. I can't believe you stuck it here. This is such a good spot. So she's always like,
so you're gonna
hates that it works so well.
Are you gonna get one of those lights that go over it to like illuminate the?
Oh, that would be cool. Even if I bought like what are those?
Yeah.
What are those?
Little little card underneath it with the title.
Right, a little plaque. No, what are those? The strip, not strip lights, but they're like maybe they're called strip lights, like the LED ones. Yeah, like get those to like dress up around the whole.
Is this Todd? Is this the kind of art that you would have hanging in your house as well?
Maybe in my 20s in my apartment. There's no way my wife would let that fly in the house right now.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, man. It flew through my 20s, and I'm like 32 now, and she's just like, yeah, it can be in the basement. Like,
that's impressive. Usually they tell you to throw that shit out. They're like, oh no, this isn't. No,
she recognized. You know what I mean? Real recognizes real. So when she sees that so many people love it, she's like, I'm not going to tell you to get rid of it, but
you can't deny. You can't deny it.
I'm gonna hopefully switch it up every week. Feature a new painting every week. I got a few lined up already in mind. I threw a command hook up there, so
that's a real museum over there. What room are you in? The basement?
Me? No. I'm in the bedroom actually.
What? That's in your
bedroom? There's a window behind me.
She loves you.
Yeah.
No, she already said it can't stay. I mean, like. It's like I said, it's on a command hook. I'm going to take the command hook away after the setup is broken down. Listen, when we have a home studio, we know what we're doing. All right.
So Todd, let me ask you a question, because I'm super interested in like whenever I have musicians on or entrepreneurs or comedians or whatever, actors, I always ask I ask 2 questions usually. What drives you to do that? Because usually performers and creative people, there's some sort of underlying psychological, I don't want to say issue, but it's underlying psychological reason as to why they feel the need to be on stage or wherever it is, making the art or being creative or making things. But then 2, there's like how you go about creating that thing, especially comedy. It interests me, like how, because there are technical components of jokes, right, in the way that you compose stuff.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not because I hear comedians talk sometimes and they say stuff like little words and things about the structure of a joke. I know in a song, the bridge and the verse and that sort of thing when you compose it. So can you give me a little like 101 on maybe like not even just in general how most comedians would do that, but like how you go about writing, because you did what, a 50-minute set or an hour set?
No, I did 25. And I gave Dan the bulk of it because he drove from Albany,
Yeah.
I told him go there and do 35 to 40, have fun, get your money's worth,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I pulled out at 25 and, brought him up on stage.
Because for people listening, I mean, that sounds like it's not that much time, but when you're just talking,
talking and trying to make people laugh.
Yeah, I mean, to fill up that amount of time, and then on top of that, I mean, I don't want to. I'm in my 40s, so going to be 41 this year now, Biz. Too.
Ouch.
So, but I find like
brought up all three topics you're not supposed to bring up
real quick. But I find like the older I get to, the memorization thing. I know it's probably just a muscle. I've got to do, like, even my own song lyrics. Sometimes it's like I just need something in front of me because I'll forget stuff. And maybe that's just me from my years of abusing my body over the course of being a musician. but like, just to memorize that amount of material. So I guess we can get into the first part of it later, but I'm more interested in like the technical aspect, how you build the joke. And then, are you doing things like in your mind where you're just remembering like a tagline from it or some sort of topic, and then you riff on it as you're saying it, or is it like actually completely written out, or what is your, what's your story, Todd? Yeah.
What's the process? Well, for I'd say 8 years, I've been doing it 11 years now. So for about 8 years, I was really honing the set. The same set I do now has pretty much the same core jokes that I've had for the amount of time I've been doing stand up. But I kind of balloon off my main act and, go off on little, tangents of same bit, but, different portions of it. And you got a taste of it on Wednesday, but you wouldn't have known because I even said at one point, that's a new joke. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
But I purposely, I had 3 new bits that I threw in there. The one was about the 3 phrases I'm done with for, because of COVID, the new normal, out of an abundance of caution, and then curbside service. And
Right.
I love those. Love all 3 of those terms. They're my
hate
favorite.
those. Yeah, right. Especially the new normal.
Sarcasm.
Right. So I did, I said, we're done with masks. Let's be done with these are 3. I could go on for about 10 of them, but those were the top 3 for me. And then I, just kind of, riffed on each of those 3 phrases. So, and then the other new one I did was I did the thing about the prescription drug commercials. I'd watched so many of those because I was trapped inside because, we're all watching TV. And then I did the thing about the game cornhole. So it's all written out, but not written out word for word. I'll write down topics, HGTV, pubic hair, Jiffy Pop. And this sounds like
go
like
and
an
see
insane man talking.
Yeah, anyone listening, go and see Todd, and you'll see what I was referencing in the beginning about the food product and the underwear, and it's a funny bit.
I missed it.
So is it something where you'll write kind of the premise of the bit, like what's the structure? Is there technical terms for like the structure of a joke? Like you've got the I don't know.
Sure.
Post
the setup and the punchline. You got the setup, the punchline, and then you also have a tag. So like I did a joke at the beginning of the thing about a guy who came up to me. You heard it. A guy came up and said, "You look just like a man I dated in college." And I said, "Nope, I never touched a penis in college. High school, yes, once, right on the tip, a couple times."
Right. Yeah.
And then that joke could have ended there, but then I threw a tag on and said, and then he gave me the A. And then the crowd's like, "Oh my God, he's talking about the teacher touching his
Such
dick."
a good one. Such a good one.
Right. So that's what I opened up with. And in my mind, opening up with a dick joke is always great. Everybody loves a good dick joke. So I came right out of the gates with a dick joke.
So and then you'll have kind of the premise or those 3 parts of it, and then as you do it, you kind of work through, because I feel like when I do a song too, the more I play it, the more it like develops into what it eventually is at the end of it, right? So I'll write the song initially, I'll play it a bunch of times, and little parts of it change and they get nuanced to be, better. Is that so? That's what you're doing. You're kind of doing them over and over, and
yes.
you change them a little bit every single time you do them.
Yeah, absolutely. And even coming back, I was on the first show April 2nd. We did that opening weekend, and I was so excited to get on stage because I just wanted to flesh out and more of my jokes and add more punch to them and just have fun, and that's what you do. You go up there, you talk it out, and like even that cornhole joke I did. The only reason I did that is because the show I did back on April 2nd, somebody shouted out and cornhole, and I'm like, oh my god. And then when they did that, I just riffed off it what they said. I'm like, yeah, what's with that game? Who named that? Don't people realize what that means? I'm like, that's a felony in 12 different states. And and then I'm like, I can make a bit out of that, and you guys got to hear what I wrote for that bit. Yeah. So now I just got to work on it a little more.
Is it so? Where did the desire to? You were in marketing, right? Which I guess there's some creative aspects to that too. Were you ever did you play music, or did you do anything else, acting or anything like that? Like
no talent
when you were younger.
No.
So why the? I mean, I know you said that you would watch them and you'd always like it, like to watch the comedians. But there's a big difference between watching someone do it and being entertained by it. Like, so my girlfriend, for instance, is really into movies, but I don't know if maybe secretly she would want to be an actress, but I don't believe that she does. I think she actually just likes watching them, but would never make the mental jump to say, I want to actually do that for a living, let's say. What makes you want to actually get on stage? Have you ever examined yourself psychologically? Sure. You said you went to a therapist, so maybe that's something you dove into.
We talked about it many times. No, it goes back to, I'm the youngest of three boys, and I was always vying for attention, no matter doing something where I'm acting out or showing off. Or my big thing was doing armpit farts. I always got laughs. I did that in school. People laughed. And just like I said,
the easy wins, man. The easy wins.
Yeah, the easy, low-hanging fruit. So I would watch comedians do this, and on stage, and they're making people laugh, and I'm making people laugh with my stupid low-brow humor in classrooms, and just to see these comedians as well. When my dad would laugh, that made me happy. When I see my dad laugh on the Tonight Show and watching those and the young comedian specials on HBO, I'm like, this is something I would love to be able to do. And that that's why, I mean, I think it's mainly because of the youngest child syndrome, wanting to be seen and have everybody laugh at you, to be the show off. And I think that's what ultimately led me to.
Did you feel like you said you had two older brothers?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Did you feel like
4 years older?
What are your older brothers in kind of any entertainment things?
No, one's a trainer, actually director of sports medicine for the Sacramento Kings in the NBA.
Nice.
And my other brother's he's a professor at Washington and Lee University. So I stopped the success train. I tell Dick jokes.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, right.
So that's interesting. So was it something where you felt like you needed to, my thought on the music thing and the creative thing, is I tie it. This is gonna get dark real quick, Todd. Ready? So I always tie it to this fear of death, right? Or knowing the knowledge of the fact that you are going to die at some point, and the creative endeavor is a way to live forever, sort of. Like, you create something that then in the minds of people will be there, whether it be your comedy, someone saw you, and so they have this in their mind, this memory of Todd Youngman on stage, and that event that they went to where they saw you perform, and there's a satisfaction in knowing that other human beings, almost like there's a legacy there, that's gotten left of your life that will live beyond you. I almost feel like that's where the majority of that kind of comes from, and it may be psychologically buried in a bunch of people, way down, that they know they're going to die and they don't want to die without there being some sort of something left there for future generations of human beings to see. But do you feel like that is at all? Am I completely off base with that?
No, I don't think that was too dark.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not at all. I don't. See, it's funny. I'd tell you 3 or 4 years ago, I did a show at a country club. It was a benefit think it was breast cancer, and you know, I was one of 3 comics on it, and I went up and I had a really great set. It just, you know, felt really good. And afterwards, a woman came up to me and she was crying. I thought she was crying because of laughter, but she was crying because she wanted to tell me how much she loved my set. And this was the first time she'd been out in 4 months because she'd been going through chemotherapy, and how much, you know, my act made her feel good and how great it felt to laugh. And
That's incredible.
Yeah, right. And so ever since then, it's been so important to me, like the power of laughter and even music, how it can, like when people come to the club, they're coming to laugh. They want to come and have a good time. You know, they could have had a bad day at work. They could have had a bad week. The month could have been life just could be shit. And what I want to do is be able to go up there, and whether I'm doing a 5-minute set, a 15-minute set, or a 45-minute set, I want them to be able to leave that place and feel like, you know, the laughter made them feel good, because there's like scientific proof that endorphins happen when you laugh that make you feel really good, even though they're, you know, little blips, but it sends something through your body. So I just, you know, I think ever since that woman said it to me, it's been my goal to go up there and always try to do my best, because you don't know who's sitting in the audience and whose day or week you're changing. You know what I mean?
Really true. I agree. I agree 100%.
Do you find like, so sometimes when I notice someone is maybe not paying attention to what's going on stage or whatever, I do a little bit of an attempt to get them on board with what's happening on the stage too. But I don't think with music as much. I mean, you get the occasional like heckler, but they could just be yelling and the music could be loud enough where you don't even hear them. With comedy, it's a whole different thing. So you've got, you know, someone yells something out in the middle of a set. It can easily throw someone that isn't used to dealing with that kind of thing off. Do you have like any good heckler, either stories or like the way that you deal with it? Do you try and I know they call it crowd work, right? But are you like working it into the set, or depends if they're just belligerent or whatever? Then it's a whole different.
Because my set is so there's nothing political, there's nothing religious, there's nothing to really rile people up in my set. It's just everyday life and thoughts that go through my stupid brain, and so it's not like anybody's gonna shout out, you know, anything like that's not true or you suck, because, you know, it's just not the case. A lot of the heckling can be stages. It can be somebody going like to their friend, "Oh my God, that's so you." That's a form of heckling. If I can hear you talking to somebody at a table, that's heckling. Somebody who's just eating food, not looking up, you know, that happened at our show. I was talking about, you know, there was a guy sitting in the front. I told you, I said I could. I saw this guy pleasuring himself in the cake mix aisle at Wegmans, and at that point, he didn't. He looked up and saw I was talking about him, and from that point on, he was looking and loving the show, because I wanted the attention up here. Stop eating your fucking pretzel and look up here. For the show.
So speaking of,
I guess that's a good point. I never really thought about it that way. That you know, not paying attention to it is a form of.
It's a form of
heckling,
because like Patrick, like he said, you know, you see somebody, you know, and they're not engaged, you want them to be engaged.
Right. Yeah. Not to mention, I'm not standing up here doing this for nothing. Like, pay attention, dude. Like,
I'll say this: the worst thing is, especially at some open mics, that I as a musician, right, I do my best to pay as much attention to whoever is on stage during those open mics, even if they're, you know, just starting out, they're terrible up there. Like the fact that someone is paying attention to them, I always see like a smile if no one else in the room is paying attention, and I'm staring and really engaged with what's happening, even if it's you know, just a smile or something. I'm looking and listening to what's happening. I think the worst thing is when you have other musicians in the crowd at those open mics that are like too cool for what's going on stage. You know what I'm saying? Like they're on their phone or something until they get up, and then they get up, and then they'll just leave immediately after they do whatever on stage and pay attention to anyone else on there, as if they're they're Elton John coming in and walking out. And it's like, no, you're at an open mic with everyone else that's here too. So,
man, those A-list celebrities, such divas.
They're all over the process.
I always kind of try
Tell me
to
about
make
it, man.
point
Tell me about it.
to do that, especially at the open mics. What, you have any advice for like young comedians? Because there are a few that come out to that open mic too and try to do material there that are, you could tell are in the beginning stages of working material. I mean, do you feel like you have to bomb a bunch, or do you feel like
Absolutely.
there's
Yeah, you do. I bomb tons, and I'll still have bad nights. I'm not going to say I go up and bomb the entire set, but just not nights that just wasn't clicking, and that could be the audience, it could be you, or it could be a multiple things. But I do think you have to go up and bomb. That's the only way you're going to learn, and you just keep going. And just like I said, Mark Ippolito, who when I first started, I would come off the stage and he would either tell me, great set, or what were you fucking thinking with that joke?
Right.
You want that, you want people to tell you that. But I don't go up to young comics unless they ask,
Sure.
asked. I don't go up and tell them, you should do this or that.
Right.
I only give advice when asked. That's it.
Is look, I kind of lost my train of thought there. I was going to ask you a question specifically about
I'm still here.
young comics. Trying to file my brain back to where I was. I lost it. It's gone, Todd. It's completely gone.
Okay, it'll come back.
But I think that oh, that's what it was. It was about the bombing. Like I think wanting to know what you're doing wrong by bombing, you can learn from that. Or I've seen musicians do this too. Them just turn on the audience as if it's the audience's fault. But
I hate
that. It comes back to, like, we've talked about, Biz knows this, like communication. And when you're the one communicating, it's not the other person's responsibility to be able to listen to you and actually understand what you're trying to get across. It's your responsibility to deliver in a successful way, to the people on the other end. So I always find it like it's almost frustrating. Like I want to shake them if they get up there and they start doing their set or something, and the audience isn't paying attention or they're not getting the response. It's like, well, maybe the way you're delivering it, you've got to take a better look at it. I don't know if this was before.
They're just throwing gold up here and you're ignoring it.
Yeah, I think a good thing. Like, go ahead. Sorry, Todd.
No, he's right. I'm up here and I see him, like, comics will swear at the audience. What the fuck's wrong? That one worked last week. Or, like, okay, it's not working now. Don't yell at these people.
You're right.
It's funny that even Andrew Rivers, not to keep bringing him up, but he mentioned a couple things about this too, that, like, you know what I mean? He had been booed off stage with a joke that he thought wasn't even all that offensive. And I watched the video, and I mean, like, it, you know what I mean? Like, had he made that joke up here, no one would have booed. Like, even if 2-3 people would have booed, the rest of the audience would have booed those members so bad that, like, you know what I mean? It wouldn't have happened. But he was like, I thought it was a safe spot.
Are you?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Are you, Todd? Are you now working on your Netflix special?
No, never.
Do you want me to try and get that going? Let's get Biz involved here, and let's get.
No, I don't need a Netflix special.
Do you have any?
Where I am.
Yeah. Do you have? Yeah. Have you ever done like a YouTube thing, like filmed
2014 there's a YouTube show up of mine I did. It wasn't it was a one-man show I did about growing up with my mom, and
nice.
It wasn't just her in the house, but my mom lived with borderline personality disorder. So it was kind of challenging growing up with a mom who had that, and so it's a show I did about that, and there's a lot, it covers why I'm doing comedy, and then it's basically a story about forgiveness, because later in life I was my mom's sole caretaker. I was the one in charge of everything for her, but I would always blame my mom for stupid shit, but in retrospect, she did the best she could with the growing up she had to go through. She grew up with a alcoholic father, and when she was 4, the mother left the house. So we're all products of our environment. So that's what this show's all about. It's called Me, Myself, and Mom.
Huh. And this is the kind of comedy you can expect from Todd Youngman at its shows. I'm joking.
Just depressing. No, that's just a one-man show.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, because I feel like I was talking before about the psychology of what drives someone to do this sort of thing, and I think that
it's a good one. It's a good one. I like it a lot.
I can hear you, Biz. I don't know.
Sorry.
Meant to mute there. You were talking. you know, that one man show, do you feel like your comedy is moving towards, like, I know you do kind of, not, I don't know, would you call it situational or environmental?
It's observational.
Observational. So like, have you thought about going into like that? Because there are some comedians that do that. Like they mix some of that intense emotional stuff in with their comedy to kind of, I guess, I don't know if it's like loosen it up, or it's almost easier for people to swallow that level of intensity when there's, you know, the comedy kind of around it.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I've always, like, when I started, I always wanted to do bits about, you know, my mom and growing up in our house and stuff, but I didn't want to because she was still alive. You know, I'm like, oh, that'd be disrespectful. Not that she'd ever hear about it, but you know, now that she's passed, I mean, I'm glad you brought it up. That's something I need to start working into my set, is some of the, because there's humor in everything, you know, even though it was you know, challenging at times, but yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Thanks for saying that, because I do want to start working some of that in.
Because I think comedy is like a unique way of like delivering some of that really intense, like obviously you're observing life from a way, like almost from the outside, right? You're looking at normal things that are happening that other people are just, it's like life is just a movie playing in front of them, but you're stopping and watching it and kind of writing down what's happening, and then relaying it and getting people to almost like visualize what's happening. So I always find like some of the darker comics, I can't, like in my head, I can't think of particular ones, but there are a few that do that. You know, they have some more like darker, I don't want to say darker, but like more intense moments that then end in some sort of, you know, a funny, you know, a bit about it. So when you say you're happy where you are, I mean, you don't want to do anything like a special, not necessarily like a, you know, full on special, but something more that gets out there. You like the actual live being in the club thing.
I do, and you know, I do theaters as well. I open for a lot of comics at theaters. It runs a gamut of places I've done shows, but yeah, no, I'm, you know, like I said, I'm 52. I don't, you know, it's kind of a young man's game, or a young person's game, not to upset anybody. It's females and males, but I think I'm at a, you know, at a good point, and I like the level I'm at. You know what I mean?
Right. What do you have another show coming up? I know you've got some other stuff. Why don't we do this? Why don't we actually talk? Because I always forget to say, you know, give out where people can find everything, and all that sort of thing. So let's get some promotional. What shows are coming up? Maybe at the Comedy at the Carlson that maybe we can throw out there. And then
no, I don't have another show at the Carlson for a while. My next show outside, I'm doing a show. Trying to think. September 12th, if that's a Saturday. September 12th, a place called My Cheese and Wine Bar out in Greece. They're having a comedy night there, so I'll be there with 2 other comics. And you know, what's funny is that I do these shows on people's decks. All last summer, I did like 7 shows at different homes of people. They'd invite me out. I do shows for like, you know, 15 to 25 people, and just do it right on their deck. So I actually
thought you meant boat decks. I'm gonna be so honest with you. I was like, man, that's so cool. You got to go on a bunch of boats to be able to work because of the pandemic. Sure. It occurred to me when you said home, so I was like, wrong deck, man, wrong deck.
So yeah, no, I got one of those coming up, but those are just private events. So,
all right.
But I think I'm opening for Sky Sands in July. So that's
he's
a funny guy.
Going to be at Comedy at the Carlson, right?
Yeah, it'll be a Comedy at the Carlson. It's middle of, I think it's the 3rd week of July, 3rd weekend.
I've seen him at Comedy at the Carlson, and then I worked closely with him while filming Bottom Feeders, and he is a constant joke. Like, obviously not in a bad way, not in a bad way.
No, right. He just never stops, and it's he's always on. That's the beauty.
He really is. Like, he's talented for that reason. If nothing else, that's what sets him apart. You know.
Yeah. He just goes.
Well, so we'll do this. If you have any links to anything, I'll post a link, one to the Comedy at the Carlson and maybe some of the show schedule or whatever. Sure. And then if you have anything personally, like if I want to link to that, I'll look up. But if you have the link somewhere easily accessible, if you could just shoot it over to me, that 2014 thing, I'd actually be really interested in seeing what
I'll send that to you.
That was about. And anything else you wanna promote while we're?
I got nothing.
Okay.
It's you know.
It's a self-promoting world, Patrick. Come on.
I know. So
come up.
He's gonna go share this on his TikTok later.
Oh yeah, that's right. So you'll be there tomorrow, and your son will be out doing some songs too. So what does he have any? Want to throw his name out there too? SoundCloud or anything like that?
My son Toby, who is he's making a go at the music thing. You got to meet him, and he's doing it. He's doing a good job, and he has his first EP out on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora. It's under Toby Youngman.
What's his? Oh, there it is. Okay. Say it again. I was gonna say what's his name on there. Yeah. But go ahead and say it again because I think I stepped over you.
Yeah. No, that's all right. And he has has that EP out, and he just did a show at Abilene. Well, he opened for Jackson Cavaliers band, and he's opening another show for them. And I think on the 28th at, and I'm blanking on the name of the place on East Avenue, something Bar and Grill. I can't remember what it is. But he's got that coming up, and then he just got booked today to do the Record Archive on a Wednesday night in September. Nice. So that's ways down the road. But
that place is so much fun to play. The Record Archive
so cool, isn't it?
I mean, now I don't know if the bar is still open. So the Record Archive, to anyone listening that's outside of Rochester, is it's a record store. But it's also like it's like a record store from again the 90s, like a classic. Like there's just these weird toys all over the place that you can buy too. But then they've managed to open up a bar in there and put a stage so that bands can actually perform. And I've played maybe twice there for different things. But then they also have a bunch of like bigger touring musicians will come through. Like I saw Mike Doty play there.
Oh really?
Who was a few bigger artists. The guy from the Goo Goo Dolls did an acoustic set there. It's a cool little spot because it's so weird. Like there's records everywhere. There's like bikes on the wall. There's like weird like
furniture hanging. Yeah.
The guitars are super weird too. It's just something about a record store. They get quirky.
Yeah, it's a cool place to go and have a drink too, because you could see a band play, or you could just have a drink and just be in that atmosphere and go look at records. When you got a little buzz on, and like that's fun too. That's awesome. So you got to shoot me that date too that he's playing there, because I'll come out to that for sure.
The Record Archive.
Yeah, to the Record Archive.
Yeah, it's in September.
I love that place.
Patrick loves him a good show, man. He'll go to any shows.
Yeah, I really do. Like
shows and premieres. That's like Patrick's thing. He is a red carpet diva. Anything that generates a premiere, he's there, man.
Well, that's good.
But honestly, like this being quarantine thing was killing me. I like to be out, like every single. If I didn't need to sleep every once in a while, I would just be out every single night somewhere where performances and things.
He's a grown partier, is what it is. But he doesn't like the party scene either. So he's a complicated man.
Well, I like watching performers, and I like being at things like people are creating, especially in this town. There's so many people making like cool stuff, like awesome fucking art and film and music.
There's constant art. It seems like
it's
something.
It's a town that I've grown to love over the years. So,
you've grown to love. Where are you from originally?
Jackson Heights, Queens. Yeah.
Okay, good.
But there too. I mean, I think it's just because my dad was a musician, and like everyone I hung out with were musicians and artists and filmmakers.
All about the art making. Man.
Those are the people that I can relate to, because it's tough to make friends that are I don't want to say normal, but like normal people that aren't creatives, because sometimes their form of entertainment is like, let's watch a football game, or let's let's go watch a movie that's not a local movie, like go to see a movie, or go do like trivia night or something. But I don't find that entertaining. I like to either be seeing someone creating, art on stage in some way, music or film or whatever, or comedy or whatever, or my favorite thing to do is to be doing the creating and the performing and that sort of thing. Like I find like in my free time, if I could be creating something, like that's my form of entertainment. I don't want to be like watching Netflix for
Patrick, do you paint and stuff? Do you do any painting?
Terribly. But I do. I have.
Is there anything that you kind of do like knock out of the park? Like, I could do a really good canoe on water, but I can't draw an elephant. Yeah, like, is it something like that?
Oh, like art wise? I mean, I really like pen and paper, like notebook paper. Like I did in school, like in high school a lot. I would, instead of doing my work, I would be drawing things. So I have made some really cool things with like just pen and paper.
Don't they call it like doodling? I'm talking about like actual, like, not that that's not
No,
art.
I haven't.
I don't want to demerit.
I haven't.
I'm talking like on a canvas. You doing something like this or what?
No. I'll say that that definitely isn't something that I've tried to paint. I've tried to do like serious art, and it's just not my thing. I think it's, if I was to make try and do 1,000 paintings, maybe I could get somewhere, just because whatever creative thing in my head, if I could actually.
That's a great idea. 1,000 paintings. That's a really good idea. I'll feature some of the ones that I've done.
Yeah.
Behind me.
Good.
Not this one, obviously. I tell people sometimes that I did this when I was like 18.
Well, I think so. Here's the thing about art, and Todd can attest to this probably with comedy, because it didn't start with I'm putting out a 45-minute set of all good material. It starts with, I'm doing this little bit maybe of terrible material, and then I do it over and over and introduce new stuff and learn from what I'm doing, and I get more experienced, and then it gets better and better and better, and then eventually years and years and years later, you actually are able to produce product that's relatively decent. Same thing goes with like songs, making songs. First couple of songs are fucking awful, and maybe even 5 years into it, the songs are still terrible, but if you're like looking at what you're doing and getting better, eventually it gets better. So the fact that I don't paint is not, or I don't feel like the product I would produce is something that anyone would care to see, is because I haven't put that work into doing it. I'm sure I have stuff in my brain that would be, if it were successfully delivered onto a canvas, would be interesting for people to see. I would say, Biz,
do you see this?
paint 1,000.
Do you see this right here?
Look at that.
This counts as art. I stuck a couple of earrings in this bad boy.
Look at that.
Outlined his eyes. You see, he's got gorgeous brown eyes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I like it. Maybe you should become an eyebrow artist for like those
What do you
eyebrow
call
places.
that?
Like, tell me those eyebrows aren't like at least close to what I'm working with here.
They're on point.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Do you call that COVID? What do you call that piece?
This right here, no, this is Biz if you could.
Just
Gotta have some dramatic, name that doesn't make any sense to anyone except for like the elite group that have cracked the code and figured it out before the artist ever.
It just keeps your hat. Just keeps your hat shapely. Is that?
No, this is a hat that I don't wear. I was putting hats on it a bunch, but then I kept taking it off. I'm like, oh, he looks like he's got to wear a hat permanently, otherwise he doesn't look okay. Like,
that's good.
He looks good with a forward hat too.
Biz, I would say
paint. Does count as a sculpture though? Like, I don't know if this counts as a painting.
Paint 1,000 paintings, and then I want to see the 1,000th one.
I'm already up to quite a few. Like I've got, I don't want to over exaggerate, but I think I've probably got about 5 or 6 already. So
all right, well you're getting there. I mean, just 900 and.
I haven't painted in years either. Like I don't know. 1,000 seems a bit steep for someone. I don't want to be an artist, like that. So that sounds a little steep. But maybe I'll do a side project of like.
Is there one
try
nearby
to do like
that
10 in a summer, 12 in a summer, 1 a week, bro? Like.
Is there one nearby that you can show us?
Yeah. I mean, if you can give me 2 seconds, I can go grab one.
Yeah, go ahead. That's all right.
All right, cool.
I want to see this.
I mean, if you're really dedicated, you'll paint 1,000. But
whatever. I'm so excited to see. Aren't you excited to see this piece?
I am, but I'm hoping it's like a stick figure on camera. Like the macaroni glued to a piece of construction paper.
Macaroni and bottle caps. This is what
Let's see. So this is now Biz's art debut here on the podcast. Here we go.
Yeah.
Just so you guys, Just so you guys know.
Jesus.
What are you painting with? Are you doing?
I knocked over the fan.
What's your medium? What medium are you working in?
Guys, I don't know how many
Finger
times
paints?
I can say I didn't mean to be an artist, so
An accidental
it just happened.
artist.
Okay. So like, here's one stick figure right here.
Oh, that's not bad.
I don't know if I can see. There you go.
So here's the crazy thing about this story. Since we're all local, we'll take a sidebar to do this. I made this painting. I had an idea to make this painting. I didn't have an idea to make it rainbow. I started doing the canvas all rainbow, and I was like, what the hell am I going to do with this now? So then I was like, all right, well, let's throw the skyline up there. And I looked up on Google, like Rochester skyline silhouettes. I found one I liked, made the reflection thing, did it. Don't you know, painting with a twist. Did this the very next week. I was like, what kind of weird paradox am I in? that would happen. And like I even like showed my wife. I was like, dude, I must have like known somehow that they were gonna make these. And she was like, that's insane that happened. But and then I brought this one because this one's personally my favorite, but it's super basic.
Oh,
it's like
look
a
at that.
Broken window with like a bird.
Huh.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like I saw an actual like photograph of this, and I like kept it in my mind, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a painting of that one day, and then I did. I don't know where the other one is. That's definitely not in this room, but there's a really cool one that's got like a spread of cards. It's AK, you know, Ace King, and then 4-7. So I always call it AK-47, but it looks like a spread of cards because it's like the card, you know. And it only took me like an hour or two to do it, but everyone's always like, man, the detail on the king card is like, bro, like, you know what I mean?
I always I feel like you have to have an idea of what you're gonna do when you paint, and I always feel like when I start to paint, I'm like, let me have some wine or something, and then it just becomes a drunken painting thing.
Lauren's really good at painting, though.
Sense.
Like my wife is like next level at painting, so that's partly. I think I realized like, wow, I feel like an idiot with this stick figure while you're making masterpieces. Let me figure out where my niche is in this artistic canvas situation. And
well, Biz will report back after he gets his 1,000th painted. But sorry, Todd.
Do you drink while you paint, or is it?
I don't drink at all. So like, I like smell the flowers maybe while I paint, but other than that, you know.
Yeah.
Nice. So Todd, I appreciate you coming on, man. And everyone, check out Todd Youngman. Google him. I'm sure something will come up, either good or bad. Who
Follow
knows?
me on Instagram.
There you go. On
hey
Instagram.
Man, Google me and Patrick, and follow us on Instagram while you're at it too, because you know everyone could use a few more Google searches. You know,
that's true.
Yeah, right.
What's your Instagram? Is it just Todd Youngman?
Todd Youngman, all one word, and then Facebook, Todd Youngman.
Excellent.
Don't go to the comedy one. It's no fun.
Okay.
I'm not on Facebook, but I'll give you a follow on Instagram. I'll even do it right now just so I don't forget.
Yeah, don't. I'd get off Facebook if I didn't have to promote myself.
Yeah, that's me.
You know,
too.
I said the same thing for a really long time, and then I did it, and within the month that I got off, I got 3 random. I do like freelance film and production work with like acting on the side. So like, you know,
you were part of
self promotion is all you know all about it. So so that was a cool thing. I was like, if I get off Facebook, I'm gonna risk getting all these jobs. And I think I have probably shot myself in the foot a couple times missing the early bird, you know, that Facebook sometimes offers. But for the most part, I can't say that I've really missed some of the things that I've seen pass my way. Yeah. It's like, oh man, I'm so sorry I missed that one. That sounds like a shit show.
But, all right, Todd. Well,
hey, this was fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We'll have to have you on again, and for sure I'll come see you whenever you're around, and I'll see you tomorrow.
You'll see me tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. For everyone listening, I think it might even be tonight in their world when they hear this or see this. Yeah. So by the time it gets rendered and all that stuff, but I really appreciate you coming on. And thanks to Scott, if he's still there, for setting you up over there at Rockfox.
His head's in my lap. He's sleeping.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Oh, that joke almost went a completely different direction.
But everyone, again, if you're still watching, still listening, go subscribe, tell your friends about Infiltrate Radio, send us emails, and thank you all for listening.
Infiltrate Radio.